Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm your host, Jeff Howard, and I'm very happy I've got Sof Puchley with me. Hey, Sof.
Hello.
Hey, and actually, it's okay to record this. You want to get close to the mic.
Oh, like this close?
Yeah, there you go. Also, microphones are sexist.
They are.
I don't know if they're sexist or if they were the more bass, the louder and higher pitched voices, they don't pick up as well.
Okay, well, I will make sure that I'm nice and close to the mic.
I didn't want people to think I was talking over you when it was really just mic distance. And you can slide it towards you too if you.
That works also.
Your neck.
Yeah, that works.
All right. Excellent podcast intro, Jeff. So anyway, you're here because your film ihd-ehst was at Film Invasion LA in 2024. We are in January 2025, so I can call it last year. And that amazing film, man, I really love that film.
Thank you.
So your film took home the Grand Jury Award for Best Sci-Fi Film, Best Short Film, Sci-Fi. Also took home the Filmmakers Award for Outstanding Director for your director, Shayda Frost. And and it just kicks ass.
Thank you so much. It was a really fun film festival, and we're very grateful to receive some love.
I have to admit, a film as visually stunning as ihd-ehst on that screen, because that's a really good,
It was a great theater.
I'm not, we just rent the theater, right? So it's not like it's my theater. But we checked out when we changed venues, we were pretty careful. And they have the only place that I think looks better in LA is the Writers Guild. I'm sorry, the TV Academy in North Hollywood is might look better. But otherwise, that theater's kind of ruined me when I pay $20 to take the kid to a movie. I'm like, man, this looks like shit. And
the service where you press the button and they come give you the snacks and food.
And I got to admit, I don't have a recliner at home that I can hit a button and lean back and raise my legs, like a cushy leather recliner. I got to admit, we are talking about Look Cinemas in Glendale, California.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorites. Yeah.
It's a great spot. So it was great to see, all the films look great on that screen, but one like yours that's particularly visually stunning. I mean, the award was for Sci-Fi. So anyone listening, this was not lo-fi sci-fi. This is gorgeous sci-fi.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
But before we hop into that, and before I ask you the life story question, is there somewhere people can watch it now?
Well, we are wrapping up our festival run, and we're looking for distribution. So we've been thinking of a couple options, but honestly, I think we're going to go with Amazon Prime. I think that's the best option for us. We really don't want it on YouTube or Vimeo. So we're working on that right now. So hopefully in the next couple months, it will be out there.
Excellent. Well, if you remember, you can always fire off an email to me, and then in the show notes for this, we'll put a link to where it can be watched.
Perfect.
But yeah, you'd be doing Prime Video Direct so that people can,
trying to make it for free, but I think we might have to charge $2 or something.
They'll let you go for free, I think, at first. Amusingly, I know from experience, if you have something that people start watching, then they say, oh, we don't want to give you $3 a month. We want to charge the public. So silly.
Right. We just want a legit platform to put it on and make it easy for people to see. So,
well, I might tell you about a platform or two I'm involved in, but that's not what this is about. This is about hearing your story. So, because Discover Indie Film is all about, kind of just putting new artists on a pedestal and saying, it's so hard to indie film. I think it's just passion, right?
For sure.
No one sits down and makes an indie short or even an indie feature thinking that this is going to be my ticket to riches. It's really a labor of love.
Right.
And as a festival runner, obviously, I'm not just grateful to people that there are festivals because people are making art, but I'm just grateful that people are still making art in this world. I mean, particularly in the USA, our entire society is kind of built around making art unattractive in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
If you like stuff like food and shelter.
Yeah, I found that, in our current industry climate, no one wants anything new or interesting. They want, known IPs. So I think it's important for indie filmmakers to show people what they actually want to see, which is new, fresh content. So I think it just takes people like us who are passionate about it to change that. And I think it will. I think it will change eventually, because there's only so many superhero films that people can stomach.
Yeah, the bleeding old IP dry thing kept the studios alive for, I don't know, maybe an extra 10, 15 years. But at this point, now all the Marvel movies are kind of like just coming and going, and the people barely notice. I actually missed. I didn't see. I wanted to see Deadpool and Wolverine, but I didn't. Didn't get it. Wasn't even aware when it was out. But I just heard on the radio or on a podcast that it made $1 billion. I'm like, oh yeah, I missed it. Whatever, didn't care.
Right.
And I imagine it probably would have made $2 billion 5 years ago. But anyway, what do I know? All right, so we don't have to talk about stupid Ryan Reynolds movies. And I don't just say that because he's my wife's favorite actor.
He's great.
He is actually what?
He's
a
wonderful.
good person, too.
Yeah.
Son of a gun.
Canadians, they're awesome.
I know, Vancouver. Whatever. Yeah, I know. Canadians are awesome. By the way, my best friend's in Canada, the one who's in our preamble before we started. Person with a hard name to pronounce. So anyway, now we're going to shift to you.
Sure.
So, your role in the film was you were the producer and the lead actor, and I imagine a lot more than that.
So many different hats, to be honest, to make it happen.
Yeah. So, before we get to the story of how that film came together,
sure.
Do you want to share when you first got interested in the creative arts?
Sure. How far back are we going?
You literally, if you were like performing for the family at 4, feel free to share it.
I started off as a singer. My mom put me in singing classes when I was 2 years old, and I loved it.
Is that because you also showed promise?
Well, yes, I guess.
No, I'll defend you here. I'm on my second marriage. The first marriage was a family of like 79 people, like huge Mormon family. And there was one grandniece, who at like age 2 or 3, she like sang the Cruella de Vil song like perfectly. And I'm like, that kid deserves to like have this encouraged. I don't think it did. So I'm so glad that you showed promise and the encouragement happened.
Yeah. My mom took me to like a mom and daughter or kid school called Lala School, where you just like sang together. And the teacher was like, oh, your daughter at 2 years old can match pitch. You should put her in singing classes. And so that's what they did, and I loved it, and I started doing musical theater. That was kind of all I did for years and years, and I thought I wanted to do the Broadway route. That's still on the table for me. But what happened was I ended up going to a performing arts boarding school and realized I loved just straight plays. And from there, I started doing more like student films, and I just fell in love with that and the craft.
And was that middle school, high school?
That was high school. So I did musical theater all throughout elementary and high school, but then started really getting into just doing plays, like serious plays, because we went to a performing arts school where there wasn't any rules of what we could do. So we were doing pretty intense material for being kids.
The perception is a boarding school is going to be, if it's for the arts, is going to be like, I would just assume it's the arts version of a military academy. Like they're taking it very seriously.
They take it very seriously, yeah. And a lot of those everyone basically who I went to school with is still in the arts. So it's awesome. And then
Right. So people stay with it. I'm going to jump in though and ask, what part of the country were you growing up in?
I grew up in LA.
Okay. LA.
Yeah. So the school was in the mountains of Palm Springs.
Oh, so it was out hour and a half, 2 hours from home too. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big step in high school.
Yeah. Well, I went to an all girls Catholic school for 2 years of high school. And then I switched to a boarding school because my parents, they really wanted me to go to a Catholic school just because it has some of the best education. They're very strict.
I mean, I would get my pom-poms out for all-girls schooling, by the way, because
Oh.
I've read too much about it.
It was amazing in terms of like being able to speak up, because a lot of the time boys talk over girls, and like when you're with the opposite sex, you are a little bit more nervous to maybe make mistakes and to speak out. And so I think that was really amazing for me. But in terms of arts, it was very censored. Like we did the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee my freshman year, and I was the lead. And there was a line that said, "I heard that she's pro-choice," and we had to change that. So it was stuff like that. And I was like, this doesn't sit well with me. And I think at that time I knew I wanted to be a professional actor. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this type of, it didn't fit my personality.
Understood. Amusingly, I'm going to throw in, I'm a native Angelino, third generation.
Oh, amazing. So
were you, what part of LA?
Was the Catholic school?
Yeah.
In West LA.
West LA, got it. Yeah.
So it was a very interesting experience, but I went to boarding school and then went to a drama school in the UK for my university. So I have my background is classical training.
So already, what can I say? High school, you actually go to a boarding school 2 hours from home, which is a big deal. And then college, you cross the pond and you're in the UK.
Yeah. I mean,
where acting was, as we know it, well, I guess you got to give the Greeks credit. But after the Greeks, then it's the British.
Totally. I think it was because the boarding school I went to was pretty international. So it was kind of a cool thing to study in the UK. Plus, I mean, the tuition is so much cheaper than going to an American school, like significantly. They make education like really affordable and accessible even to international students. So that was a plus. And it's the same degree in 3 years instead of 4. So everything was just like pointing me to go there. Because I was kind of questioning when I was a senior in high school, do I even go to college or do I just start? And it was really important for my parents that I got a degree. And I was like, okay, fine. And it was an amazing school and an amazing decision. And I learned so much, and still all those people are some of my best friends. So I have no regrets about getting my degree in acting. I thought I was going to move back to LA and people were going to be like, wow, you went to this incredible drama school in the UK. Like, let me get signed to the top agents. And then that wasn't the case. It was very much like, oh, where are your credits? And I'm like, I'm 21 years old. Like, what do you mean? So that was definitely like interesting.
Yeah, it's a slap in the face because the industry would have rather you delivered a couple terrible lines on a teen show.
For sure.
Like, which isn't always acting anyway, but they respect credits more than education.
Yeah, but that's not the case in the UK. In the UK, they respect where you've trained, and then that can help you get signed to a better agent and start getting, because my friends who are British, they immediately got signed to the top agents and then they started working on big shows right away. So that's kind of how it works in the UK. But I had the disadvantage of it kind of being the opposite. Like coming to LA and they don't really care about your training and they just want your credit. So,
so coming home was almost a drawback. If you'd said, I'm going to get a tiny flat in London and make a go on the West End.
I wanted to. I couldn't. I graduated during the time of Brexit and they wanted no foreigners. So I tried to get an immigration lawyer and like I wanted to stay in London so bad because I got signed to a pretty good agent out there and it just wasn't in the cards. But I truly think it was the best. It was for the best. Like I ended up, it was for the best. So I guess then if we're keep going with the journey, then I graduated school, moved to LA and just started working, as an actor, primarily in, indie films and music videos. And then very shortly after the pandemic hit. So like the momentum was just cut off and that was really tough. Because I'm like, I just graduated, like what's going on? But that actually encouraged me to be a filmmaker because I was so sick of, just not seeing roles that I wanted to play, like just not either being called in for them or even seeing them, specifically because I love action. And that's what I want to do, is do a lot of things, but definitely being an action actor. So then that encouraged me to make my first film. And it was just like a blip. Like it ended up having a really successful festival run. And I was like, this was so empowering and it gave me agency over my career. And I was like, I got to do more of this. And then I just started making more films.
And so that film, that was a film before EST.
Yes. Two films before EST.
So that's the third. And the first one, what were you, everything? Did you direct? Did you write?
I didn't direct. I produced and I was the lead actor.
So you've always had this, I guess it's from your education, but you always had this brilliant understanding that since you want to focus on being a performer, then you become... I'm calling it brilliant that you wanted to be the producer so that you could choose the right people around you and then have something great where you can focus on your acting instead of, because needless to say, it's really hard to act and direct and do all that.
Right. I'm under the thought process of you can produce and you can act, but you can't direct and act. I think it makes it that this is just me. Unless you're on a studio film and you have the time and the money to watch every single take you do, I just think it kind of makes the vision like a tunnel vision. And if people can do it well, great. I personally don't think I could. So I think it's hard to be...
Well, and you have a focus.
Right.
You have a focus.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think it maybe would take away the specificity of the work as an actor, personally. So, yeah, but I have recently gotten into directing and I love it. And I think I'm, shifting to that as well because obviously, so then we made some films and then we had a 2-year strike and that really just kicked my ass in terms of being an actor. And
right. So since the day you graduated and moved back to LA, there was a pandemic that pretty much wiped out put the industry on pause for a year and a half, almost 2 years by the time everyone was vaccinated. And then the strike was, I'm forgetting, was it 9 months?
Well, it was 2023, but then the residual strike of like how that affected the industry, like I worked more in 2023 than 2024. So yeah, it's been weird, and out of my control, but I think that I've used that time to really focus on building my production company and my, making the films that I want to make. And I think I just like to believe that there's a reason for everything. And it's pushed me in this direction. And I feel grateful and excited about what's going to happen.
And interestingly, do you think, and I mean, this is a lame question because this question is kind of pushing you into an answer, but do you just think you'll sort of pursue directing and acting sort of on their own avenues. So like you'd either be a pure actor in some projects and then maybe even a producer, actor sometimes, and a director other times, like simultaneously.
I think so. I think I did directed another sci-fi action project this summer, and it's in post-production now, and that taught me so much. And doing another project coming up where I would be producing and acting. So I'm kind of just seeing, like, surrendering to what the universe gives, because I don't know, but I just want to be open to possibilities.
For sure. Well, you have to be in, this business and the creative arts are about having a vision, but it's also about counterpunching. It's always about counterpunching to the situation, right? So you've got to go with that. All right, so now I want to drill into the quality of your work. Because Lord knows a lot of people make indie films, and so you are a fan of action and sci-fi.
Yes, just genre filmmaking is
film and like novels and books too.
I solely read romantasy books. I read about one a month. Yeah.
Wait, what'd you call the genre?
Romantasy, so fantasy and romance books.
Oh, cool.
Yes. They're so popular, and I think that the industry would be smart to see that and start making more female-driven romantasy books, because like there's such a cult following of women who absolutely love them. So
yeah, they don't have to have vampires. Not all of them.
No, most of them are not vampires.
I can't. I have to do this because I don't have a lot of friends who read. I have a couple, but are you a fan of N.K. Jemisin?
No.
Oh,
who's that?
She's written many trilogies, and I believe she's a university professor now. But she just writes amazing fantasy books. Amazing. So I'll recommend. I'll send you.
Please, I'll have to check her out.
The Broken Earth trilogy is like the best thing I've ever read,
and
it's. I mean, she's a woman. She goes by. Of course, she did the initials thing because all sci-fi fantasy writers go with their initials to avoid being labeled, right?
Right.
And then, but it's always female-led and always just brilliant, insane. All right, excellent. And there's always a love story, obviously.
Yeah, those are my favorite type of books to read. I just love them.
Excellent. So you like to read, which is, probably from your education, and it's just, you're not your average. I don't want to put down Americans, but whatever. We're West Coast elites, so yeah.
Look, especially audiobooks. We're driving so much in LA. I need something to distract me.
Right. Right. So that's your literary genre. So when it comes to film, you're just right in there, and plus sci-fi.
Yes. All the genre, horror, sci-fi, fantasy, just I love.
And I think what unites it all is world building in a way.
100%. I think that's the most exciting thing about being a filmmaker is world building. Because sometimes, look, for me as a person and an audience member, it's especially in our current climate, I like escapism. I want to see a world in which I want to live in, and that kind of sparks the magic in my life. Like, that's why Harry Potter is, so many people love it, because they want to be in that world, and they've fallen in love with the magic system and the characters, and it's just, to create something like that would be the ultimate goal.
Yeah, and as an audience member, the more complete the world you're looking at, whether it's contemporary or fantasy or sci-fi, the more complete a world is, it is a better escape.
Right.
Because you are going somewhere else.
And I think films that, are really grounded and gritty and like a slice of life are also beautiful. And I'm interested in those too. But I also think that it's important to have like a balance of escapism and fantasy and excitement and fun.
Yeah, well, and a contemporary film, in our December festival, Sherman Oaks Film Festival, there was a feature that was set in downtown LA, but it created this amazing world down there. You know what I mean? And
Right.
and the characters experienced so much, and you really saw a new world. Whereas, the films that don't get into our festivals are the ones that just like they shoot and you know what I mean? Like it's the setting isn't really set. A lot of times people don't bother at the indie level.
Right.
So you knew right away that you were going to do some world building. And you're like, your first short was you built a world?
My first short was a pirate fantasy film. So we had a friend who let us use a ship, and which was a crazy story. And we did a lot of guerrilla shooting at 5 a.m. on Leo Carrillo Beach in Malibu, which looks like it could be like a really cool beach anywhere in the world. And then we shot at an old manor. And so I think we did a pretty good job of world building. I think the key elements of world building are production design, costumes. And I did the costumes on both that film and ihd-ehst, because I think that was, it's too expensive to hire a costumer to do it really well at that level. So I'm like, I'm just gonna do it because I'm really specific about it. And I love color theory. And I even made the woman who played Livia, she had a blonde wig. And I was like, Livia's blonde. And so she was like, she's like, why do I have to do that? I'm like, trust me, like it's the vision. Like I've always imagined her as blonde. So yeah, I'm kind of super anal about those details, but I think the specificity is what makes the world unique.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A funny question. You had access to, someone had a pirate ship.
Yeah.
Do you find a script, or do you know someone who has a pirate ship and then you go start looking for a pirate story?
Basically, me and my friend Adam, who ended up being the director of the film, we became friends because we both liked sword fighting, and we're like, we should make a scene of us sword fighting. And then we did this whole really cool scene, and we're like, what if we make a movie? And then one of his friends is like a pirate cosplayer, and he's like, hey, if you let me be like the lead pirate, I'll let you use my ship. And so what we did is we actually got his ship and we drove it up to the manor we were shooting at in Pasadena. And then we made a rain machine and we like rocked it, and it looks like they're on a real ship. It's amazing. We didn't shoot it in the water because there would be a bunch of boats docked around it. Yeah, but it looked really cool.
No, and you're doing amazing at the indie level to be like, yeah, well, you can make a rain machine. I mean, it's not,
it's easy.
You just got to go to Home Depot and get a hose and some nozzles and things.
Yeah, and I think it's just like finding people who are like, yeah, let's make it work. How Adam was amazing at he's like the type of person who's like, yeah, we'll figure it out. And I think, again, at the indie level, you just have to find people who are as crazy as you and it's like, yeah, we're just going to figure it out and do it, and have a bunch of homies who like, we'll work on your project for free, come on to ours, and let's make something cool.
And are you helping develop the scripts but not putting your name on them?
Yeah.
Because I kind of get that vibe. I'm making assumptions.
Well, now I'm doing more story by credits. So like for ihd-ehst, I had a writer friend who I met, and I basically said to her, hey, I want to do a sci-fi film. I want it to be 10 minutes. I want to play a captain of a fleet. Can you write me something? And then she just came up with this idea, and I honestly had no notes. I was like, I love it. So that's how that one came about. But the film that I just shot, the other sci-fi film, it's called Tracers. I worked with the writer a lot to develop the story, which was really fun. Yeah.
So if ihd-ehst wasn't such a great script, you might have had notes, but you were like,
right,
okay, done.
But I try to build scripts around the resources that I have. So for Tracers, my friend owns a studio in downtown. It's called On-Site Studios. Shout out. And it's a sci-fi space. So he built like a sci-fi looking bar and kind of a ship tunnel. And he said, if you want to shoot something here, like you can have the space for free. And I was like, sick. I'm going to take you up on that. And then I reached out to a writer who I liked his style. And I'm like, we have this bar, we have this ship. Let's create a story around what we have access to. And I also said, I have these 2 actors who I love and I want to work with. Can we write them as the leads and what they play well? So we kind of just did that. So just using what.
But that's what everybody does. That's what you need to do. But interestingly, the things you're bringing together, I guess I'm going to call it more ambitious than just like, okay, we've got grandma's house and an apartment, so we're going to write a story that takes place in an apartment and grandma. You know what I mean? Like it's like you're leaning in. By the way, odd tangent, but make sure to write me an email with your friend's studio website link, because we should make that a clickable link in the show notes,
totally,
right?
Yeah.
Because anyone interested in a sci-fi studio in downtown, like I bet people don't know it's there.
I mean, it's on Peerspace, but unless you're looking there specifically, you wouldn't find it. Yeah.
I'm into like helping spread the word on
totally.
cool stuff.
No, they're so talented what they built. So
sounds rad.
Yeah, it's really, really cool space. Again, that helped build the world of Tracers.
Of Tracers,
yes.
Yeah, the Tracers world. So the pirate film, happy with it, came out great?
Yes, happy with it. Had a great festival run. It's on IndieFlix. It was on Film Shortage. And again, we're 2 years, when did we finish it? 2022? We decided like, hey, let's put it on Amazon Prime. So again, we're working on that. So hopefully that will be, it's a process. So
no, I mean, it's, we could talk for 6 hours about like how great short films are and how there's not enough venues for short films to live on. Because I don't know why no one picks up on this fact.
I think it's a shame. It's because they can't make you money, and we live in a world where that's the most important. So
I probably took this out of the email that I sent at the end of the festival to encourage people to do this podcast. But, this podcast inspired a TV series that we put on Prime. Because like the first, out of the first 30 people I interviewed, it was like 5 features and 25 shorts. And I said to the 25 people with shorts, I'm like, because one of the feature guys told me about Prime Direct. So I said to the shorts people, I'm like, do you want to put your shorts together into a TV series where every episode's like half an hour, like 3 to 4 shorts, and we'll just put it on Amazon Prime Video Direct? And they were like, yeah. And we did that. And by the 3rd season, we were getting 10,000 unique viewers a week.
Oh my God. Are you doing that now? Like, because
the answer is yes, but here's where capitalism is a bummer, or Amazon's attitude. Once we broke 10,000 unique viewers a week, I got an email from Amazon letting me know that we would no longer be able to be included with Prime for free, and we had to charge 99 cents an episode, $7.99 a season. So we went from 10,000 and growing. Who knows? This was 2019, I think 2019, early 2019. They pulled the plug on us being included with Prime, so we went from over 10,000 a week to under 100 because
people didn't want to pay.
Because no one cruising around Amazon Prime Video goes, yeah, I want to spend $8 to watch. I mean,
yeah.
If you could explain to them, if you could freeze the screen and have a face pop up and go, hey, your $8 is actually going to like 25 people who made films out of their back pocket. Like you're not just like, but no, everyone's would rather watch something that's included with Prime for free.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I reacted the way I did when you talked about putting ihd-ehst on Prime. I'm like, it's a great idea. And then
I think we'll have another platform as well, but I'd like it to live somewhere that could reach a pretty big audience. So
I think it deserves it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. We're looking at some options now.
Yeah. Why am I sharing this? When Amazon did that to us, we continued adding new seasons, but we had to charge, so we never had the audience it deserved like we used to have. But when it first happened, I went to Tubi, I went to others, and I was like, look, we went from, no viewers to 10,000 a week. It's proof that people like this work.
Right.
And they said, okay, cool. How much of it is horror?
Right.
And I said, out of 150 films, there's like 5 horror films. And they were like, yeah, no, if it was all horror, we'd take it. And I was like, motherfucker, like, look what happened. I could show you the numbers on Amazon. Like, if the public has access to quality short films, they'll watch them.
Right.
But I praise you for not wanting your work on YouTube and Vimeo, because if you go on Vimeo or YouTube and type in short film, like there's no way to rise. There's no way for quality to rise to the top.
Unless you're on like a very established YouTube channel. And
yeah,
look,
the
it
Amaletto
does,
thing.
Yeah, it does happen, but my piece isn't a fit for a lot of those platforms. So again, sci-fi, it's hard.
Because there's a focus on horror.
Yeah.
There's there's Amaletto, then there's horror-based ones, there's other genre-based ones, but because indie short sci-fi is so rare because it's so hard to do, I guess there's not a critical mass of it for someone to be like the Amaletto of sci-fi.
Right.
I guess.
Again, I didn't make this film for money I made it as a proof of talent. And so I basically just want it to be on a platform where I could send it to people who want to see my work, and they can access it. And I feel like Amazon's probably the best option as of now.
I agree. Mm-hmm. For sure. Because there are people that I got proof from the series when we got that over time, just, thousands of people are out there and they're looking for something new.
Right.
I know. I would think that your work, that people, this is the dumb idealist in me, I guess. I shouldn't call idealism dumb. But I would think people would look at ihd-ehst, and if you just said, yeah, look at this, this film of this length, we could do the same quality for 90 minutes for X dollars, and like people should be like, well, holy shit, that'd be like, am I allowed to say like Dune level? You know what I mean? Like it looks as good as the Hollywood stuff, and you didn't spend as much per minute.
No.
I'm pretty sure you didn't.
No, we did not.
And yet in this world, you can go to the desert and shoot something awesome and do some VFX and come up and equal them. You equaled them.
Right.
Which is so freaking hard to do.
I don't know about that yet, but I think maybe if I showed that to people who were looking, like studios who were looking for new sci-fi IP, I think they would see that and maybe get excited about it or be interested, or even just if someone else wanted to direct it and they just liked the idea, I would be happy to. I really have no attachment to it. I just truly made it because I love sci-fi. Yeah. I'm kind of like, let's keep creating and on to the next.
And we skipped over the second film, right? Because the first was the pirate film.
Right.
And ihd-ehst is the third. Do you want to mention the second one?
The second one I was just a producer on. It's called Gateway Drug, and it was a horror film. And that one was on YouTube, and it did pretty well. That one was fun. That one was really fun. I was just more on the logistics side of it, like putting it together someone else's vision.
Right, so someone else was producing?
No, I was producing,
you were producing.
But I was, usually I have a lot of say in creative. I cast it, but I was really just kind of a tool for the director to get shit done. But that was a really good lesson of just putting together a film with a certain amount of budget.
Yeah, kind of like line producing in a way.
Line producing.
But on a short, but obviously it ends up being more.
Right. But getting, like the casting was really important. Again, I helped with like the costuming and
and you didn't cast yourself?
No, I did not. There wasn't a role that was right for me. So
You're showing some maturity there, I think.
Look, I don't want people to look. I want everything I do to be something I'm really proud of, and I just knew that it wasn't my film. But I'm sure if I insisted, I could have. But I knew other actors who would be better for it, and I also think like passing the ball is really important.
Yes, it is, and I can say from personal experience that I've been involved in films where, let's just say, a producer was someone who didn't make it as an actor, and they shoehorn themselves into like one scene. There's like, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do those 3 lines. And then afterwards, people actually said to me, that one scene, what was with that actor? How'd that person get cast?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, that's the producer.
And how embarrassing. How embarrassing.
I know, but that person will never know. Thankfully, they don't even know I have a podcast.
But even like I would be horrified if like I only got the part because of whatever. I think it should be off merit, or I mean, if you know someone and you're the right fit, great.
Yeah.
But
if you're like, oh, well, I'm actually the best person for this.
Right.
But that's showing objectivity too, which is probably why I said the maturity word. Because it takes some maturity, I think, to be objective about stuff like that.
Right. Well, I think just like trying to take as much ego out of it as possible is really important.
Does that come from all the training and education?
I think it's the amount of rejection, and in my education, how they told us we weren't good enough. They really beat it into us. I don't know. I think, I don't know. I think I just think I want what's best for whatever project I'm on.
Right. All right. So that's the middle one. And so now we know how ihd-ehst came together. Mm-hmm. And you've already done another, and now that one you directed.
Yes, and that's in post right now.
So was it a very natural transition to directing?
Yes and no. I mean, I've directed plays before. And
that's actually, you said, I was going to ask, like, when you came to, of course, COVID fucked all that up too. Mm-hmm. But because I was wondering if you did a lot of stage work when you got here.
Yeah, I did a little bit of stage work, but in college I directed a bunch of plays, and then when I came out here I did like some music videos and stuff, and I feel like I didn't have necessarily the technical knowledge, but I had the vision, and I know how to work with actors and bring out the best performance, I believe. Obviously that's still evolving and growing and changing, and but I had that, and I think having the vision and the team was really important. So it was a natural transition, but I had to also be like, take off the producing hat, which was hard, and trust that people would get stuff done, because I'm just the most detail-oriented person. So yeah, it was, I learned a lot. I learned so much on that film. So yeah, it was challenging.
And you're in post, like edits done?
The edits locked. We got the first round of VFX in, so we're just kind of, I'm hoping to be done by the end of the month.
And this is the one you shot downtown, so this is Sci-Fi.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
And then working, has like a feature script.
So it's a genuine, the first was proof of ability. ihd-ehst was proof of ability. This is proof of concept for an idea for a feature.
Yes. So
nice.
Yeah, I went to a film festival in Italy called Not Film Fest. ihd-ehst did, and I had a company approach me and was like, "This is amazing. Do you want to make this into a feature?" And I said, "No, but I have another film I do." And then I just signed a contract with them, and basically they help. They're called Bridging the Gap. They help short films connect to co-productions. So we'll see where that leads.
And they're European based or Italy?
They're
London based, but
yeah.
they were in Italy,
Yeah.
Italy because
they were scouting.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have any expectations, but I'm excited to see kind of where the film goes.
And you're not tempted by that amazing question, do you want to, because in my head, the world of ihd-ehst there's a bigger story there.
Right.
But you just don't feel you feel it would be too thin if you stretched it to a feature?
I think I've just put it to bed. And I think I have ideas that I'm more excited about. So not that it couldn't, I just feel like that was a beautiful chapter, and I feel like I'm just ready to close the book and move on to ideas that I'm more excited by.
Look, makes sense to me. And all right, funny question that popped in my head, because I just started visualizing ihd-ehst again, which is, so is your kinetic ability on screen to do action, is that from the kind of training you get in the UK as an actor? Because I know there's a lot of, I know in the UK, well, I know here there's sword fighting and things too, if you're in the right program, but I mean, because the action's really good.
Thank you. I mean, we did have to do a stage combat course when I was at drama school, and that I just found that really fun. And then when I moved back to LA, I was actually working at Disney, and one of my friends, I can't say what I was doing at Disney because I don't know. I'm not allowed to say, but one of my friends was like, hey, I'm in this action course. You should take it with me. It's really fun. And then from there, I started just training in more stunt work and getting more involved in that. And I was like, hey, this is really fun. But everything that I've done on screen, I've trained really, really hard for. For the ihd-ehst action, we worked on it for about a month, and then I had a private coach go over every single move with me. And obviously the other stunt performers were professionals, and they made me look very good. So I'm grateful for them.
Excellent. And they could all act.
They could.
Their
very
performances
talented.
are great.
Yeah.
It's very funny that people sometimes, I guess I was kind of making the assumption that they were actors doing action, not stunt people doing acting.
Well, the two aliens, everyone's an action actor, but they have amazing martial arts backgrounds. Basically everyone but me had a martial arts background and has been training since they were a kid.
I actually have a friend she does that. She got heavy into Krav Maga and Taekwondo, and then has been focused at some action acting academy or whatever, combat acting. Yeah. Yeah.
It's really, really fun. So I enjoyed it. And then learning how to shoot action is incredibly difficult. And for tracers, that was a challenge for me, was figuring out how we want to shoot it. So
a lot harder than a conversation in an apartment.
And no one acknowledges it. How action is seen as a sub genre, or not as just not as respected, when it's so hard to do action well. So I don't know why that is, but
you mean at the indie level, or other actors don't respect action acting? No,
I think on in the festival world, or even, I don't know many action films that have won Oscars. But I won't say names, but I went to a festival and we were in the action block, and it was a big festival. It was an Oscar qualifying one, and every other block got an award for best horror, best whatever. We weren't in the sci-fi block, and the action was the only one that didn't get an award. I thought that was very interesting.
Well, I'm gonna peacock a little and point out that your director won an award at our festival.
Yes.
Because the direction was fantastic, and our jury actually doesn't have their head up their asses. We know that was a lot harder to direct than other things.
Yeah, Shayda's amazing. She's so talented, and just that was the best partner in this. Yeah.
It's just stunning. and the fact that the action works. Yeah, to get action to work right. I mean, I say it too often, but between two festivals, I see 1,500, 1,600 indie films a year. I start them. I don't finish them all. And a lot of times there's a film of two people sitting at a table on their first date, and there's continuity problems.
Right.
So then try to avoid continuity problems when people are killing each other.
Right. We had like 50 different camera setups that day. Again, I think it's just the specificity and the rehearsal and the team, right? It's such a collaborative art form. And look, anyone who makes anything ever, I think is amazing. Like, even if it's shite, but because, and I think I've just been really lucky to have amazing people to work with. Well,
I would assume, this is the, it's the parental side of me, but like it's not an accident that you're putting quality people around you. I mean, that you're discerning.
Well, thank you. I just feel incredibly lucky just to have people who are so talented and will support my vision. And again, like, I try to throw the ball back and help on people's projects when I can, whether it's being an actor or a producer, or connecting them to someone who I think could help. Like, I just think that I just try not to gatekeep any information, because it's like, we all just want to make art. And I truly believe, I forget who said this, but there's room for everyone in the industry. I believe that.
It is true. Someone else's success doesn't take success away from anyone else. If anything, it is the tide that can lift all boats.
Yeah.
If people treat each other well.
Right.
Yeah.
I try to make that happen. I feel like on EST we had gender parity, which is so rare to have. And on each of my sets, I try to make sure there's a balance of men and women and different, ethnicities, just to make sure it feels like a really like full, what's the word? Diverse set with lots of different people and
diverse representation. Yeah. And if anything, you're also, look, in the genre you're choosing, besides building a world. All right, so we're both Angelinos. So we grew up in a multicultural city.
Right.
That is not, we don't even really we have a Chinatown and a Japantown, but really they're just touristy, because this city's kind of different than many, that there are no strict lines, and like this is where all those people live. Like, right. we grew up, I assume, like me, you grew up around people from all around, and it just felt normal.
Yeah.
And so why don't we see that on screen very much?
Yeah, I do think it's changing, but I think like behind the camera, there's a big diversity problem, especially with women and women of color. And I think that needs to change. And even if I can do that in a small way, that makes me really happy.
And it shows. Don't get too, I don't want the world to, whatever. No one will get mad at me for saying this, because this is only listened to by people who love the arts and indie film. But the way your film was directed by, Shayda. Mm-hmm. A man might have made some different choices. You know what I mean? That we're trained to objectify and blah, blah, blah in our society. So by having an indie action sci-fi film that treats everyone on screen as equals, in ihd-ehst, it's not like any of the female characters are treated like pinups in a sci-fi film. And that's the most common thing in the world.
Oh, yeah. For sure. And just having a female captain who's also young.
And strong.
Yes. But
the trope of the female captain who has to turn to someone for help doesn't happen in your film.
No. But also like a vulnerability. I think is important. Yeah, I think there's not, again, like it's sci-fi is very male dominated, and we wanted to be like, here's our POV. And it's crazy because we didn't get into any of the women's film festivals, not one, and we submitted to like 10.
Yeah, I'm making a face now.
I know.
Jeez.
I was like, what is, because I guess it's not a woman's issue, but if you look behind the camera, we had women in every, as all heads of department.
No,
and
I'm looking at the director, Shayda Frost, writer, cassette hash. You are producer and lead actor. Like, it's a female-driven project. It's a female-driven film.
Female
and
stunt coordinator.
On screen, it's
female editor.
It's which is getting easier to find, but not all the time. But yeah, it's not even subtle that it's a feminist project,
it
right?
shocked
And by
me.
the way, I'm whenever I use the word feminist, I guess I'm old. I think Gloria Steinem defined that for me. She said feminism means everyone is equal.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Not this idea that women are better. No, we're just freaking equal.
Yeah.
I almost wish the term was equalist, but
Right.
whatever.
So
wordplay.
that was weird.
So just because it was action?
I think it's. I think so. I think. I actually I can't even say.
Yeah, you can. You would have had to ask those people.
I can't. I don't even.
Plus, remind me of the running time. It's under 10 minutes, right?
It's. I think it's like 11 with
11 minutes.
With
11
credits.
minutes. 11 minutes with credits, which is like you did. I'm assuming you know that's the sweet spot for festivals.
We did that on purpose. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. You get to 15, and all of a sudden it's harder to get into a block. Go to a little lower, and people respect it less. Yeah, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
It is a sweet spot.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think festivals are really subjective, and I think our piece is more commercial in a way, and doesn't feel indie because it is very high production level.
That's true. God, I don't like that idea. That because a film looks too good, it doesn't. They're assuming that there was a trust fund kid involved and it doesn't deserve it. I don't know.
It's like if they knew how like hard we worked to raise that money and like how many people we reached out to and how many resources we utilized, like they would. I mean, it's like you never know.
That's right. I remember from your Q&A at the festival that you had a friend who had that cockpit, the ship, the interior ship was already just there for it. Like
he did a little bit of
it.
he did a little bit of set design, but for the most part, he just had that.
Yeah, you just had access to it. It was almost the equivalent of grandma's house.
Right. For me, yeah, sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's the analogy of the day, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh man.
So, but again, I don't know. I think also, I went to Film Quest, and that was some of the best sci-fi films I have ever seen, back to back to back to back for shorts. And I think maybe the bar for well-made sci-fi films is so high that it's just extremely competitive. So I don't know. There's a million reasons that it could or couldn't have, but I think that the festivals we did go to were amazing, and I'm just really grateful to have.
Yeah. No, and I shouldn't beat any of those drums because it is a subjective process, and every jury is different. And I guess it was just though you telling me that you were 0 for 10 with women's festivals.
No, that one I was like, that's
tough.
interesting. That's interesting.
It is interesting. And I have heard great things. Actually, I know a couple people who always go. Film Quest is in Utah, right?
Yes.
And they always go to. I'm trying not to be too emo, but like when I see my people at Film Quest saying how wonderful it is, I'm like, I'm glad there's other good festivals. Am I? Yeah, I am.
No,
but I hear nothing but wonderful stuff about Film Quest.
It was just an amazing festival of like everyone was so weird and quirky there, and I was like, these are my people. I loved it.
Awesome. And now you have a toehold there too. So I bet, because it seems to me that people sort of become Film Quest people. So knock on wood, tracers. I
already told the lead programmer, I'm like, I got something coming for you guys. So yeah, it's just really fun people that go there. So we'll see. But again, you never know. You never know.
You don't. And yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows, That we've all had that experience of seeing something and not liking it and then seeing it again and realizing it's great.
It's just, art is subjective and not everyone is going to like your project. And I kind of go, well, I like it. And that's really all that matters.
True. Very true. Excellent.
At least I try to tell myself that. And then I cry in my shower. But no, I'm kidding. It's important just to stay true to.
There's nothing to cry over, but it is interesting. Like, in a way, it's almost educational at a practical stage. Like, one might say to oneself next time, do I bother with the entry fees for these women's festivals? Because that was money that could have gone to more sci-fi festivals or more something. You know what I mean? Like I am aware that if someone isn't loaded to the gills with cash, like, you got to be careful with the festival plan.
Yeah, no, it's extremely expensive. So, but I try to look at it as like, okay, well, at least I'm supporting women in film, and like for every festival, at least I'm supporting a really good organization and championing all indie festivals, right? So I just see it as like a donation. And then if we get in, I'm like, great.
That is a wonderful attitude. God, I'm going to do the thing again where I say I shouldn't say this, but I have joked with filmmakers that, I mean, we're able to afford the Look Cinemas in Glendale, which is kind of expensive. Mm-hmm. But I tell the people who get into the festival, I'm like, well, we're here because all the people who didn't get in. Like, it's the submission fees are honestly subsidizing the films that get in. Because we lose money at that theater. Like, we could sell out every screening and not break even.
Right, yeah.
So it really is, but that's what it's all about. It's about those handful of days where you're watching films and just on a big, beautiful screen.
Yes.
So I respect you for not being angry or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I try to keep it positive.
Yeah. You do. You got, this is the old person thing, but you got it together. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't know, but
you
trying.
Do. More, look, well, it's just an opinion.
Thank you.
You seem to have the right attitude 99% of the time. I don't know. Everyone can have a bad day. I'm not saying you've never had a bad day, but what I am hearing, it's all, what can I say? It's great that it's healthy.
I think that's the only way to have a sustainable career. Because I hate saying it's challenging, because I don't like to speak into existence things I don't want to be true. But the only way to sustain a career, I think, is to find peace with it. And for me, that works by having everything that seems bad and changing it into something positive. A lesson or a blessing, as my mom says.
Yeah. Helps have good parents.
Yeah, I couldn't have done it without their support. They are so supportive and
considering
wonderful.
That the high school and university experience, good parents.
Yeah, they're
have to be involved in stuff like that.
They've just always let me be me. They're business people. I have not one person in my family who's an artist. Like, seriously, not even like a cousin. And they've never dimmed my light. They've just always been, if this is what you want to do, then go for it.
Awesome. All right, I think my last question is going to be, are you still doing the audition thing, pursuing the acting thing while you're doing your own thing?
Oh, yeah. I'm still doing all of that,
you're doing
too.
The grind.
Yeah, but that's just, I think, like, I've had to detach from that and the outcomes. I think, like, one of my goals from this year was just to really fall back in love with just the craft of acting, because I think after, having like 2 years of a strike and just auditioning, and it gets really hard and can wear you down. So yeah, I'm still doing it. I'm still doing the thing. But I'm just very focusing on what I can, which is my filmmaking, and then doing the very best kick-ass auditions that I can do, and then kind of just wiping my hands of it and leaving it to the universe, because I don't know anymore. And it's so subjective, and I just think like my time will come when it's supposed to come. And until then, I'm just going to make my own shit and just stay in my lane.
Which is good, because I do also think, well, you haven't put yourself in all of them, but I'm not blowing smoke when I say that, like, your role in ihd-ehst, like, you look like a leading actor.
Thank
you know what I mean?
Thank you.
Like there's, I remember an old stupid interview. I think, I'm forgetting that some old famous producer, and like they were talking about, as Harrison Ford was saying, like, that some studio exec said to him, Tony Curtis, you put him on screen and he delivers the groceries. Mm-hmm. We put you on screen, you're not delivering the groceries. This is when he was younger and didn't have his shit together. And like, so I've always thought of that, deliver the groceries, as the analogy for, like, they just belong on screen. Like, not, I know it really sucks, by the way, because like you'll go to a play and see an amazing actor, and then sometimes you actually see them on screen, and I'm like, ooh, it's not translating. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of weird, but what can I say? I would think that people who see you on film, would be like, that's someone we should cast.
Well, thank you. I mean, I've been lucky to, like, I do work not at the level that I want to, but I think that, people pop off at different times. So I think it's truly just being at the right place at the right time with the right role. And that might happen when I'm in my 30s. That might happen when I'm in my 40s. Like, I don't know. But thank you for saying that. That's very kind. All I know is that I love acting and I want to do it. But it's kind of not up to me when it happens.
An actor has no control over that, which is why I have to admit, like, even 10 years ago when we started the festivals, there's been a change in this last decade when actors producing their own work are making great work now. Maybe it's even just COVID was the switch. Because honestly, like, a lot of films we would reject. I don't like, not make an official selection. You could always tell when it was, like, when it was an actor trying to do a showcase for themselves.
Right.
And the work lacked. And I don't really, I saw one of those yesterday. But I see more quality work.
Right.
That also might, whatever. I think people are understanding it more.
Yeah. And I think a lot of actors are creative in other ways and are showing it. Like, almost every single one of my really close actor friends has made something. And all very good. And I just am like, if you're an actor who's not making stuff, and you're fair enough if you're working and you're booked and blessed, like, you don't need to make things, fine. But if you're an actor who needs to get their foot in the door, and you're not making something, I'm like, why not? Because it's not only good footage for your reel, but like the amount of people that I met at these festivals and the connections and just kind of like legitimizing my company and myself, it's like invaluable, I think. And plus, festivals are so fun, and you get to dress up, you get your photo opportunity, you meet amazing people. Like, even if it's shite, like I said before, I think it's important for actors to be making their own work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I back you up on that. Making a bad film, there's no failures, there's only lessons.
Yeah.
And it's, you learn so much.
And it's so funny because in drama school, we had a course called professional development in our last year. And they were like, let's talk about working a couple jobs as an actor. Like, some of you guys might be directing and writing and producing. And I was like, no, I'm only going to be an actor. Like, what are you talking about? And here I am today. But that course was so helpful because it kind of Like they taught you how to get funding from like the Arts Council, which is a thing in the UK, but not in America, where you can actually like fund your play to go to Edinburgh or,
most countries have that.
Yeah, not us, but that was just a really amazing lesson. And for my dissertation, I produced a play that I wrote and directed, and that was kind of like just amazing as well. So that school taught me a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like they kind of planted a seed, and you didn't know it was there, but then a couple years later...
we had to do like devised plays that we had to like produce and organize and do budgets for and put on at a theater. That was one of our final year things we had to do. We did a musical. It was awesome. And then like the year before we had to do a devised piece and get people from like the town to come and see it. So yeah, they were really trying to encourage us to make our own work very early on.
I'm aware you didn't name the school. Is that because it's like you're not a bragger?
I don't know if people will. I'm happy to share. It's called LIPA. It's the Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts. It's actually Paul McCartney's school.
I was going to say.
So it's in Liverpool, England. My favorite city in the world, truly.
I was in London for a week, and I turned to the person I was with, and I'm like, "We're getting on a train. I'm going to Liverpool."
Really? So you've been?
I've been. Well, I had to. When I was 5 years old, I saw Yellow Submarine and got the soundtrack and have been a devotee ever since.
Stop. Well, I don't want to make you jealous, but Paul, I've met him a couple times, and he did give me a kiss on the cheek and give me my diploma. So
I'm so glad I asked for that. No, and I've heard he's actually a lovely person.
He's very nice.
I don't just worship him for the talent, like I happen. I'll tell you when we're not recording, but I keep hearing stories of people who've encountered him, and it's always a classy, lovely experience for all involved, as long as people are cool. I assume if you come across like a jerk, I'm sure he can out-jerk you all he wants.
Right.
But that's awesome. And you got, you said 3 years? 3 years in Liverpool?
3 years, same degree.
So fucking cool.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
Oh, man. Excellent. All right. Well, website, social media, stuff you want to share?
Sure. If you want to follow me, my personal account, it's at Sof Puchley. And then if you want to follow my production company, it's at Alom Media, ALOMMEDIA. And my website is alommedia.com, where you can check out everything that's going on.
Excellent. And those will be clickable links in the show notes.
Yes.
I always joke. Every once in a while, I sound like a real podcaster. All right. Clickable links in the show notes for all three of those. And now I will list off a bunch of websites and social media handles myself. So, first of all, thank you, Sof. If you want to, people can't watch ihd-ehst yet, but if and when you get the chance, you should, and we'll always update. It's always easy to update the show notes and have a link to that. And ihd-ehst won awards at Film Invasion Los Angeles. We hold that festival every June. You can learn more if you go to filminvasionla.com, and it's at filminvasionla on social media. And I fucked up. I was supposed to say first, thank you for listening to the Discover Indie Film podcast. You should like and subscribe to it. Be nice. Maybe even write a review. This is not directed at you, Sof, but I think you're person number 227 or so to do the podcast.
Oh, wow.
And there's not 227 reviews. What can I... It's kind of funny. But so if you want to learn about this podcast and the TV series that was born from it, go to discoverindiefilm.com, and on social media, it's always at DIFwins. And I already mentioned Film Invasion at Los Angeles, but it has a sister festival every December, and the only difference is the name, and that is the Sherman Oaks Film Festival. You can learn more if you go to ShermanOaksFF.com, and it's at ShermanOaksFF on social media. And the last thing to mention is if you love indie film, just go to indiechannel.tv. Check it out. And so thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, everyone, for listening.